Everybody has their coats on? I hope so. There's the fire going, but it's around the corner from what I'm going to be working with. So just be sure you're cozy. Come on, let's go. You slowpokes, scamper up. Ta-da! This is what I've been working on for the Patreon patrons. And I was all ready to pack up their boxes, these little boxes. And I realized I'd just be clambering around in all these tins. And I just thought, oh, how unappealing. So I thought, I'll put the cookies out so that they can see them. And then I put out everything, and it became fit for a queen. And I thought, actually, that's just what I wanted. I wanted them to be invited to a royal banquet of sweets, and then watch it get packed up, and a little piece of the memory of the royal banquet would go all the way to their house, and they can open it up at home and have it right there and taste and smell every single part of the wonderful grand evening. Come on in and I'll show you all the different things here. Well, first of all, let's start over at this side. This is what I did this for, was to make these cookies for everybody. And these are, this little tower is of the different cookies that I've been making, and I'm making videos, or I made videos to show you how I make those cookies. And I remember naming this one the Biedermeier cookie because I'm afraid to take a cookie off of here, actually. It just reminded me of, can you see it okay? There. It reminded me of the old Biedermeier furniture from a long time ago, starting in the 18th century, all the way up till the 1920s and beyond, the 50s even, until now. And then these are called Springerle biscuits. And these, I told you all about them when I made them. You'll see them in the videos. Aren't they wonderful? And they're called Springerles because they rise up from the bottom. Springerle means jump up on your toes. Look at these little biscuits. They have gold flowers, golden flowers in the middle of them. Can you see it in the light a little tiny bit? Yes. See the gold? It sparkles in the light. And there's a red rendition and a green. I outlined them in green and red. Not for Christmas, even though they do look very Christmassy, just because I love those two colors together. And I just thought it looked so, I don't know, just interesting to see those two together. These are called gnarly biscuits. I just named them that because they're so gnarly. And the one thing I wanted to tell you about these biscuits, see how you can see the light through them? The one thing I wanted to tell you about these biscuits is that some of them have sort of stuck together, but they taste so delicious. I thought you would enjoy eating them even though they didn't quite work the way they should have worked. I don't know whether it was the weather conditions because it was so damp. I'm not sure, but anyway, some of them, I'll make sure everybody has at least one beautiful gnarly biscuit, and the rest just to enjoy the flavor. And then these are beautiful little mince tarts. And I changed the traditional mince tart a little bit, and I rolled out some almond paste and put it in the bottom of each of the pastries and pressed it down in there. And then I put in the mince, and I mixed into the mince wonderful dried apricots, not the Turkish kind that are just kind of rubbery and pale, but real California dried apricots that are rich and dark orange and just, oh, they're just so delicious. They have so much flavor. And I've told you all, I think, that we used to dry our own apricots. So those are in here. So we first made the Springerleys very large. And then I thought, oh, those are too large for a little tea biscuit. So I made them this kind of size with a different mold that Richard had made. And I thought they were very sweet. And you see how they spring up from the bottom when they rise? So that's why they're called Springerleys. And then I found a new mold, a new cookie cutter, which I thought was so beautiful, I decided to change a third time. And here's how it looks. Don't you think it's prettier with this sort of a scallop edge and the hexagon shape instead of just a square turned to a diamond? And these are also springing up on their toes, on their feet. So that is why I changed it so many times. So I'm going to give all of you some of each shape. And now this is something that's very unusual because I found one when I was out in the shops. I found this bee cookie cutter. And I used the same hexagonal shape, but a little bit larger, for outlining this. And some of you, many of you who follow our work with Victoria MacKenzie-Childs here, is that you know who the little blue fly is. And the little blue fly is actually a bee. And I made these cookies just to put into the little blue flies package, because I'm going to make a Patreon package for her as well. And you see, I put the press here. This is the press that I found. And I'm going to send that to her in a separate box. Isn't that fun? So she'll have the press so she can make her own Springerley biscuits or shortbread or any kind of biscuit that can be made in a press like this. Crash. There, everything is very precarious, but it's fun. And then I forgot to tell you another thing. See these little pieces? These little hexagon shapes with the little tiny nonpareils on them? Well, they are actually the cutout. When I cut this window out of the middle of these biscuits, the gnarly biscuits, I had all these little cute little shapes. And I thought, oh, I'll just put nonpareils on them and bake them for another little biscuit. Let's take a break from things and think about thoughts. First of all, the reason that I like to put little tiny unexpected things in a cookie box is because you expect cookies in a cookie box, but the fun thing about getting a gift is wonder what it is and what's in there. And so we happen to have, Richard and I happen to have a lot of little things. And I'll bet everybody does. If you look through your drawers and your cupboards and or outside in nature, you would find all kinds of funny things to put in your cookie boxes. The idea actually started with me as a little girl. My mother's birthday is the day after Christmas. And so every year, her Scottish grandmother would send her a Christmas cake. You know, the English Christmas cake is Christmas, it's like a fruit cake, at least the one that travels across the sea. And it has a marzipan or almond coating, and then the hard royal icing on the top. And inside, there were little tiny charms that were enough for each of the children in my mother's family. And they were beautiful little silver charms. And each one had a little story. And they were wrapped up in a kind of paper. And it was so much fun to find them in the cake. And it made that birthday worth being the day after Christmas. You know, it wasn't too much for people because it was so different than the rest of Christmas. So I never forgot that, because I got to keep the box of all those little treasures that my mother got year after year after year. And so it was not unusual for me to think about putting funny little things into cakes, and also into boxes. So that's why we just happen to use what we have. But as you see, I also have shells from the sea. I have little tiny baby pine cones. Sometimes I put little pebbles in that I find, or just anything that comes along. But because this is a gift for the patrons, the Patreon patrons, I tried to get things that I could get a lot of. And so we have a lot of certain things that we used to use in our work. And it's been a wonderful way to share those little elements instead of them just sitting alone, you know, just gathering age and dust. So, but I also thought this is a good time to talk about Patreon. I don't know anybody in Patreon, and I haven't been able to even to communicate with our own patrons because we don't have Wi-Fi here. We'd love to have Wi-Fi. Maybe the Patreon patrons will, the funding from that will grow. Other people will join, possibly, and we will be able to get Wi-Fi here. Wouldn't that be great? And it's something within the realm, you know, of what that idea is about. I like the idea of it because the man who started it really believed in the discovery process of inventions and intentions and new ideas coming into birth. And the idea of the crowdfunding is for one particular physical entity that's needed. But the Patreon concept is really meant as a support to the ongoing development of ideas, and not necessarily we need a generator or, you know, something like that, which is also wonderful to be helped with things like that. But I just thought it was such a solid sense of letting those who are doing things that don't really make dollars and cents, at least at this point, to have a feeling of a cushion, like a salary, and it could be very small, but it's just that you know you can count on that every month, pretty much. I mean, people can pull out at any time if they wanted to, but the general idea is that you have an ongoing flow. And the idea really appeals to us because YouTube is not like a theater or a street corner. You know, on a street corner, there's always a hat to pass. And at the theater, there's always a ticket booth. But with YouTube, there's no way to show your appreciation or your support of an idea. And so Patreon is outside of YouTube, but it's a way to support YouTube, the programs of making YouTube. They take a lot of time and effort, as you can see. Well, this is for the Patreons especially, but most of our videos do take a lot of effort, which we love every minute of it. So it's never gruesome. But to have that sort of small support, and so I thought what's also great about it is it doesn't have an attitude of somebody with a lot of money. You know, a patron, you think of it as a kind of grand person with a lot of extra money. But you can be a patron with just $1 or $5 a month. And I thought about $5 a month, and I thought, it's like not having an ice cream cone once a month or something like that. And I just thought it's something, a way a lot of people love what they're learning and what they're experiencing and how it's influencing and inspiring their own natural gifts. But they don't really, there's something about being involved in it. Like, I'm a part of this. This is me. This isn't coming at me. It really is the way I think. And so it's a way to be a part and to help it continue on. So that's my little story about why I like Patreon. And I love the patrons because there aren't very many of them yet. And that means those people that are there right now, well, first of all, I could never do this if there were thousands of patrons. I'd have to have a different idea to express my gratitude because I am so grateful for every little bit. And also there are different people. Some people are doing much more and some people much less. But to me, it's all the same in my gratitude. It's the same. And so everybody's going to get this special little gift. So that's what I wanted to tell you about with that. So anyway, these things all come out of, you know, turning our pockets inside out and finding what, you know, like a little boy who goes for a walk on the beach. He always comes home with more than he left. And so we walked around where we have all of our bits and pieces, supplies and so forth, and also outside all around Yankee, and found all kinds of little things and find them all the time. Like even this, I discovered how much I loved juniper. You see the juniper here? Just this Christmas. And I had never really understood it outside of just a shrubbery, you know? And this Christmas, I saw how beautifully the color of it, which is more of a chartreusey green, whereas the pine is a more blue-green and a dusty blue-green, you know? And I just loved the two elements together. So I've picked off pieces that will go into the boxes. So everything going into these boxes is really meant as a little memory of going for a walk with me. And then here, this is a funny one. This is a chicken feeder. It's for chicks, baby chicks. And they have a little feeder where the sort of dusty little fine food, like pablum for babies, is up in this jar. And then when you turn the whole thing over, little bits trickle down into these little chick-size holes, chick head holes. And so I use these little squeezy things to capture these little balls and drop them in. And so everything is, it's fun to explain it to you. And I wanted to tell you why I'm explaining it, because each thing has a little story behind it. So we can now go ahead and finish off. Have a wonderful evening. And you'll know what I'm doing in the next few days. So long.